started with Alert back in '88. I had just gotten out of the service. My EMT had lapsed, so I have started as a wheelchair MAVT driver, or whatever you want to call it nowadays, all the way up through the ranks, supervisor, did dispatching, touched everything really except billing. Never want to touch it, so avoided that like the plague. And today my job is to strategically look at the company, the technology, what we're doing today, where we need to go tomorrow. Let me see how this works. Wrong way. There we go. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about technology. Whether you like it or not, technology plays a role in everything we do nowadays. And technology just isn't the computer sitting on your desk. It's everything we have out there. First and foremost would be the vehicles. Back in the day, you know, horse-drawn carriages, Cadillac ambulances. And today, you know, an ambulance is almost an extension of our office. They have computers, communications, backup cameras, blind spot cameras, even the technology in the painting and striping, the reflectivity, everything plays into technology. Communications. How many people in here have been in this for years and years? Okay. Back in the day when I was on the road, you know, you had a little numeric pager, a two-way radio in your vehicle, and if you were lucky enough to find them, the payphones. Very poor system. Two-way radios especially are very geographically centric unless you have these huge repeater systems like the state police that cover a whole state. You know, what do you cover, a county or two, which really made it difficult. They were unreliable, very time-consuming to use, and of course, very manual. Everything nowadays, we want to get away from manual things to make things a little more automated, a little easier, and a little quicker. So today, we use things like alphanumeric pagers. Gives the crew the information they need. Texting is very widespread. On the right-hand side is a picture of a Nextel, right? Everybody in here uses, a lot of people use Nextel, so anybody? Okay, well, if anybody doesn't know, Nextel next year is probably going away. The IDA network, they're going to look to switch everybody over to Sprint's CDMA network, so it's going to work totally different. Where now you're used to putting in, you know, an ID number, hitting a button. It's going to be more like Verizon's push to talk, where everything's by phone number and things like that. So now's the time to start looking a year or so down the road on how you're going to handle that problem. The recordings, if they're going to have recordable bases, all that type of stuff. Nextel gave you nationwide communications. At least for us, we operate in New Jersey, into New York, into Pennsylvania, a large geographical area. So using a two-way repeater system is really costly. You know, you usually need to buy time on somebody's network that has it built out. And now we have instant communications either by two-way portable on a repeater network or by Nextel between dispatch and the field crews. Not like back in the day where you had to find a pay phone and then you had those bag cell phones that some crews had and all that type of stuff. So it's really, really coming a long way. Mobile data terminals. We use mobile data terminals in all our vehicles. So nowadays, let me preface this by saying every company out there is different. A lot of you might do some of this, all of this, do something, you know, in a little bit of a different flavor. But this is where everybody's trying to get to. So now your dispatcher gives your crew a call. They get a page on their pager. They get a text to their Nextel. They get their call right on their mobile data terminal. And, okay, a cruise en route, you hit a button, cruise en route. This way it takes a lot of the communications out of the loop back to the dispatch center. The more you could cut down your radio communications, it allows your dispatchers a little more time to focus on the job they have to do sitting at their desk rather than just saying, okay, you're en route. Now when you talk about the past with dispatching, intake, billing, everything was paper? How'd it work? Oh, somebody called on the phone, I have a call, okay, intake first, we'll write it down. Walk over, hand it to the dispatcher. At least where our company, we had a desk that might be as long as one of these tables here, with a huge spreadsheet. They'd have to take the call, go through, find an open vehicle, write it down. Not very efficient, a lot of mistakes. I mean, like we were looking before, seeing the forest through the trees. Basically, looking at Trip Viewer, it kind of gives you that whole feeling now, but on a computer screen, not spread across a whole table. Very hard to find. Open spots, even though they were there when you had to scan your eyes across 5 sheets of paper to find an open vehicle. Nowadays, things are going computerized. Everything gives you a lot more control over everything you need to do rather than the paper world. Today, everything's going to computer-based. There are companies still out there dispatching paper. Smaller companies can do it. When you're dispatching a few hundred trips a day, that's kind of hard to do on paper. It can be accomplished, but it's not efficient. Nowadays, having computerized dispatching systems, we look to get everything integrated. Even though we're at the point now where everything isn't, communications can be integrated. Some of your EPCR solutions are integrated. The integration allows for fewer personnel to accomplish the same job. Better reporting. Everybody knows back in the paper day, how do you compile reports? You know, you take a list, have to go through, count out how many BLS calls did I have, go through a stack of call sheets, okay, BLS, oh, wheelchair. It could take you 2 hours to figure out what your demand was for the day before. Nowadays, usually you hit one button and it's there for you. And all of the computerized systems aided in increased response times. So I might be going a little fast because I was given like 25 minutes. If I'm going too fast, slow me down. If you have any questions, let me know. So, okay, now let's get into how things are today. Everybody's going to have this to some degree. Right now with TraumaSoft, we're using TraumaSoft. I don't know how many other people in the room now are actually into using it. We can take our vehicle tracking or GPS as available in a module inside TraumaSoft. How many people in here use vehicle tracking, GPS in their vehicles? Okay, quite a few. You know, we asked that question 2 years ago, it would have been a lot less than that. I mean, people are starting to realize how important that is to be able to instantaneously know where any of your vehicles are. You know, it helps out your dispatchers, it helps out your management in general. You know, you have crews that are going 75 miles an hour down the parkway to get somewhere to go get lunch. You know, in the old days, you'd never know any of that. Now you get a little text message saying, hey, this truck is going this fast. You look at the screen, you see the little truck going, and they're going 75 miles an hour. You can take a proactive stance on getting a hold of that vehicle and saying, hey, you know, guys, slow down, you shouldn't be going that fast. You know, whether you take it to a disciplinary is another thing, but we have real-time, instantaneous notification of these events as they happen in the field, where we didn't have that years ago. Fleet maintenance. Fleet maintenance is in TraumaSoft. It's nice to know now if you put a vehicle out of service, you know, your dispatchers can see that. Your crews can actually put requests in. Those requests can be turned into work orders. Your mechanics can work on those work orders, and then everybody knows when vehicles go back into service. Scheduling. Scheduling is an issue for everybody. Everybody does scheduling differently, but we have the availability of TraumaSoft to do the scheduling. Human resources. Once again, you have medical forms, insurance, things like that. We went to putting all our insurance information online in TraumaSoft, so if they need a form to do open enrollment or anything like that, all that's available to them. Time and attendance. Time and attendance is very important. That being in TraumaSoft also, we can schedule people, we can track when they punch in, when they punch out, according to the schedules that you put somebody on. In the past, we had an issue, well, having a separate system. Somebody's supposed to work 8 to 4, they punch in at 20 minutes to 8, you might be paying that guy 20 minutes overtime just because he punched in early. At least now we're able to have the system tell us, hey, this guy's here, supposed to be here at 8, he was in at 20 to 8, do you want to approve his overtime? Or do you just want to give him, you know, his 8 o'clock punch-in time? And that's done on a daily basis. They have a discrepancy report which takes everything against their punch in and punch out versus the actual time that they punched in and out. Online training, there's a lot of different online training sites out there. I'm sure people have seen a bunch of different ones. TraumaSoft has online training and education. Once again, that's nice, into the same database. You know when people have taken classes, when they haven't, when they sign into their homepage, it's, oh, you have these classes you still need to take. So that's a big help in getting compliance. Emails and memos, we used to do Exchange for everybody in the company. If anybody in here ever has managed an Exchange server, that's a big task, especially if you have 300 employees, they all have separate email addresses, who leaves, who comes. So being able to integrate the email into TraumaSoft, we put the person in the system once, put them in a group, they go to the TraumaSoft website, and that's where all our communications are done, along with memos. Paper memos for us are a thing of the past. You type a memo, you have a mandatory signature. When somebody signs on, they can punch in. They can't go any further in TraumaSoft until they read and acknowledge the memo. Not to say they just don't glance over it, but at least you have documentation that they were presented this memo, and by them signing off on it, you have proof that it was presented to them and that they read it. I'm sorry. Training records. Even our CAD gives limited training records on certs and when they expire, driver's licenses, things like that. Having it in TraumaSoft, you can create one, or you could create 100 certifications, all with, if they're lifetime, if they have expirations. When they come up on their expiration dates, it'll automatically email a manager, and it'll email the employee, hey, you have 90 days till your certification expires, 60 days, all the way up to being expired. At that point, you know, if you don't have a copy, you can take them off the schedule, rather than running reports on, okay, who expires this month? Let me look. It's all automated, saves a lot of time. Also in TraumaSoft, we keep track of their equipment they're assigned each day, their Nextels are assigned each day. We used to do that by paper, you know, nice loose leaf book out on the desk. Okay, I have defib number this, you know, I have bag number this, etc. Now we just put it inside TraumaSoft onto the dispatch page, and I can go back if I'm missing, you know, Nextel 15. I can go back yesterday and look and see who had Nextel 15. Maybe they brought it home with them, rather than going through tons and tons of paper to try and find out what's going on. All of this stuff today, now we're going paperless. You can take all this information that we have, now we'll look at run sheets, things like that. We can take this information now and put it in a spot as big as this little projector table up here, versus warehouses full of paper like people have had in the past. I know right now we still have a storage area that might be almost as big as this room filled with paper that we've been weaning away. You know, hopefully 5 years from now, that space you could use to park vehicles, you know, have training classes, you know, square footage on your lease you're not going to have to pay for just to store paper. Then you have a lot of standalone databases that people have. Who in here uses DriveCam? Hey, DriveCam. You know, every time you do something, that's another database. You know, you have to put all your crew members in. You know, assign incidents to them. Go into another system to pull up who has what. Telematics. We're looking at some of these telematics now. It's becoming a big thing. Another database. You know, all your vehicles in there. What's going on? CRM. We have a database just for that, for facility visits, complaints, things like that. A totally separate standalone database. You need to go have another server, go into a separate application, print something out, hand it to somebody. Personnel information for many different things. Fleet maintenance. We're moving everything into TraumaSoft's fleet maintenance. We used a third-party fleet maintenance program. Once again, all your vehicles in a separate spot. If they put a vehicle out of service in the fleet maintenance program, the dispatchers don't know about it. Payroll we do in a third-party product also. Take stuff out of time and attendance, import it into the payroll program. So, standalone databases, a lot of them. I have to pick this up now, I guess. Right now, our CAD we use, like a lot of people, we use all. We have one RescueNet database, which has mobile data, EPCR, call intake, dispatch, billing, your basic certification records. If you use Crew Scheduler, that's a separate database. And they have their vehicle tracking in the CAD on their map. So I only have like 3 minutes. I can go quick here. Paper. Going back to paper. There's still a lot of things that are done on paper. EKG strips, 8 different HR forms, rig check forms. Actually, we just went through in TraumaSoft and have all our rig check sheets done on that. The crews go out, their tablet, log into the website, and they do their rig check sheets right on the tablet. This way it's taken, stored, we can see what trucks had rig check sheets for that day, rather than having a drawer or a file cabinet full of rig check sheets that nobody ever looks at. Disciplinary records, incident reports, employee reviews, and trip sheets still that aren't done in EPCR. So, looking at the future. 2 minutes, okay. In the future, we want to take everything right now we're doing in paper, all the standalone databases we have, and all our CAD information, and put it into one database. This way, I can say, okay, it's time for John Jones's review. Go into one single database. Okay, here's John Jones. Oh, he's had these DriveCam incidents. He's had this many QA PCRs. he was late this many times, you know, he called out this many times. Everything about everybody in one spot. It's not going to be tomorrow, but hopefully in the near future, this is where we all want to be. One database for everything we do. It's going to save a lot of time, a lot of money for everybody, but it's going to take people like everybody in this room to sit, talk, brainstorm, what do you do, what do we need to put in this to accomplish this goal in the future. So really that's what I have. Hopefully, you know, it gives everybody a little overview of where we were 20 years ago, where we are now, and where we want to go. If anybody has any specific questions for me on anything.